out of the floor poured and concrete guys. Yeah,
Wow.
I don't see it, but
Well,
let's hope, yeah. Let's hope, so
I can't believe there's about a $40,000
difference,
difference.
crazy. Yeah, crazy.
Well, it's eye opening.
It is, and
The pile of dirt sitting over the other place. Same thing. Down the road or whatever. That's how much froze. Wow.
yeah. The pile was,
The pile.
probably froze all the way through, I suppose, yeah. Wow,
Facing the south, that wasn't.
that was probably
Feet,
fine,
but once I got.
that north side and
The whole, she was
on hard. What'd you push it with?
my track loader.
Oh, you got a track loader?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Are you loading?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it was. Kind of a little out in the field. Falling off.
Yeah.
Rain.
Yeah.
I was prices. I'm here right down to.
Oh,
Should have got out and see what it took. Rod in the ground.
right.
That was dry.
Oh, I bet.
Probably dry.
Yeah.
It's surprising.
You didn't have any moisture. Yeah.
Yeah. we tried.
Yeah. Good. Well, hopefully the floor's done this week and can get the door guy in. Beckers are out there today. So, yeah. Then the bills will be coming in. Yeah. $67,000 for the concrete. Yeah. And the next one was like 91 or something, 94. Oh, I'd have to check to make sure. Yeah, let's see.
Copies of that book.
Yeah,
History
10 or
railroad
12. Installed,
Installed.
insulated, 2 windows, because more windows.
If we get the planners, I'll borrow the book. And make that bigger.
Yeah.
Just got the.
Might need
It's got
one.
just
Need
a
one in.
chapter on Washington.
Yeah. So yeah, then the decor overhead doors will come, put in the doors and
thank you.
should be in close.
Getting close, huh?
Yeah, concrete, I was telling these guys, concrete guys showed up last week, got all the footings poured for our equipment to run on,
Good deal.
safe room, and they think they're gonna be out of there this week. Done. They work, I mean, they work. They go.
I'll give somebody 2 copies of the minutes.
Alrighty. Good luck. See you later.
Stop by the recycling.
Yeah. I think so.
Did you get that email? I think they showed yours.
Yeah. He was out there.
Weekend.
That
looks pretty good.
I stopped there.
Go.
So it's neat. Craig Cleason stopped out there.
Yeah.
Cleason Sanitation, and our transfer station. And talking to him about recyclables and stuff. They send their stuff to Georgia Pacific. And then it goes down to Cedar Rapids, I think.
Well, I told you.
Yeah. They're getting like $90 a pound.
Really?
But the nice thing about that's trucking, everything around. The nice thing about that, we talked about this.
That countertop.
They bring in an empty trailer.
Arnold.
We put our cardboard in, but as soon as it failed, boom, put it in and finish on it. Georgia Pacific.
Yeah, they're working on it right now.
Yeah,
Let's see.
yeah, I'm gonna, I found it out there, I got down there, like, I told Chuck I'd be.
Stopped out there when I was there last week one day. And they wanted us to buy direct house. They were hauled. So we cut the middleman.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of options out there.
I thought we were down there should be.
That's what he didn't got. It's close to
Right.
So the second largest.
Oh, I didn't know.
It's big.
Are we hauling our own right now somewhere?
They're not hauling their own, but we live load.
Oh.
In trailers, as soon as we have enough, stack it out back. We gotta load it. So it's.
So you're saying this way, it's loaded, comes off, it eliminates the staff.
Yeah, because they're.
I love that.
You know,
It's
it's got-
time. Time is money.
We got four doors that sit.
Yeah.
One could be for guardrail, but have a bunch sitting.
We used to have.
Going back in the house.
Felt through.
Yeah,
Your Bobcat.
Yeah, there we go. But
This look-
I told-
makes sense. What do you think?
We gotta look into it, so.
Does it make sense?
Which is good.
So,
Had to break out.
so Jeff, she talked to Evan for two, one from Cedar Rapids.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah, whenever you can.
Shouldn't be that big a deal.
So this way you can cut it. She said, who else? If somebody
Steal something off that other thing.
Yeah. A bunch of them.
Georgia Pacific, Craig said, before that material leaves your yard, you know what you're gonna get paid for per ton. Quincy, you don't know. That's why they got rid of Quincy and stopped using them, because they got landfill fees.
Price tag right last night, we could sell 2,600.
So this is Georgia Pacific, it'll park
One
over.
section.
Yep, Georgia Pacific recycling.
So.
But they're the middleman too.
Yeah, we went to that one.
You don't see their happen, so if we could make it better. Go under.
If you get $15 a ton Mars was.
Who's in Cedar Rapids, City Carton or somebody else?
It's International Paper. That's what. They were brand new. They've got 15 mils on. 12, 15, something like that. But this one is their second largest.
You want me to send you a text about a.
So, yeah. And
Yeah.
they have a couple of transfer stations and stuff in Dyersville and Manchester or whatever, so we might go tour those, because they have recycling on.
Georgia Pacific.
No, Kleesner.
Please.
Yeah, Kleesner, because they want to put a transfer station in Gardavillo. So.
Oh, God. Sounds like we're gonna go to the outfit.
Hey, you're going.
Great.
Okay.
That's gonna be paying
Uh-huh.
for the drill, sitting. Less than. This trailer and take away.
Yeah.
We're charging $20.
Yep, so we can keep that 20. Gaylord boxes,
They just want, just like they did up.
just like Dynamic.
Decommissional.
They
They do,
yeah, they certify.
got their license.
One
Just gotta open your eyes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, that's a thing.
Willing to turn,
You know,
willing to work,
Problem.
find it out.
I said something about one of the deals out there.
Amazing.
So now Scott is in your dream.
Oh, yeah.
They took our stuff, came and said, go inside.
Stockton.
I think we came back from that on that. If it wasn't that.
1,500.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like,
Short 3 months.
Yeah.
She said.
yeah, I was just like,
I know, I mean,
we're still with them, there were two,
Really?
it's just easier. Jeff canceled, canceled it one. $90. He gave it away.
I know.
He gave it to her. So Jeff's gonna go drive it back over with the.
you got it, yeah. In the broom. I heard.
It's
Yeah.
now when I say, I told you so.
Yeah, yeah.
Bye. Got nine. There's no decommission. No, we just hired.
Did you see the article?
Soon became 10.
Yeah, because how many did they
Hmm?
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
I
see?
No.
The Ocean has 2 different lines.
It's still holding.
Oh, two different,
It's a big
okay.
white building. She went up, and then there's an stage at the back. There's a place called like,
There's a lot of pavement.
not even, I get what's called like Cactus Miners or something. We didn't go there.
Yeah.
They're trying to sell. It's too. Same people that have been there for 20 years. Mm-mm, no.
I like
Really
eating.
good pie.
I like eating.
I had a really good afternoon yesterday.
Yes.
Susan was just sleeping. She had all of our meals by herself. You're the only ones in there. It was fine. They had 120 in it for
Hi,
brunch.
Joanne. Nah.
We hiked the pines.
Amazing.
We didn't stop there today or yesterday. We hiked about 4 and 4. Some state land there. Beaver dams, 2 huge beaver dam ponds.
No.
So yeah.
This would be interesting. I'm trying to get ready for the centennial and everything.
Oh. Front row today.
I don't like this front row some days either.
I bet.
This front row, I might get it flying out.
Morning, Steve. Morning.
Just by glancing through this, Mark, there's a lot of interesting stuff in there.
Is this on your Bible?
Yeah.
It started out as kind of seed, seedy place.
So.
Right.
It's kind of like same with Conover. Conover ended up with all those taverns because that's where it worked. And then, of course, the railroad actually established itself there. So then
It doesn't go through Conover anymore, right? That's the bike trail.
Oh, no.
Bike trail.
that's what it was. The Conover ended up being the initial end of the thing. They went on the Ridgeway and Fresno. And that's where, cargo got its start. But it talks about there were like 13 saloons. So many lumber yards. It only lasted like 4 years.
Right here, the same thing. Cattle yards that we put in Washington, I know right where they were. They were 1,500 head of cattle.
Yeah, it was when we got to Austin, it was closer for decor and everybody to go there to get to the river. And then we got the second railroad came in too.
Yeah, 2 railroads, they said, freight trains a day and 2 passenger.
This year beyond. The hop and play.
Yeah, it said there's a population of 1,500.
Yeah, I guess.
Oh, my, and Conover? In Austin, what's the population now?
It started, it was just a couple of families for a long, and then all of a sudden, get to wagons to go on the farm. It was closer than going on. The whole goal was to get to the rivers to get the
Well, it's 9:30. All those that so choose, please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the meeting to order with everyone present. As a reminder, the meeting is being recorded. If you choose not to be recorded, you have the option of leaving. First item on the agenda this morning is Public Health Department. They have a proclamation of National Public Health Week. All yours.
All right, thank you. And I'm Valerie Erickson. I'm one of the nurses at Public Health, and I'm the lucky one that gets to be here with you guys and read our proclamation. So bear with me. I don't know if I have the right.
Take your
Bible on
time.
Today. Yeah. Whereas the week of April 7th, 2025 is National Public Health Week. And the theme is It Starts Here, highlighting the importance of making a difference in our home, community, and state. Whereas this year is the 30th anniversary of celebrating National Public Health Week. And in the past 30 years, significant strides have been made in public health, including the following health successes. Number one, deaths due to HIV/AIDS, which peaked in 1994 at 49,095 AIDS-related deaths that year in the US have dropped significantly with the antiretroviral therapy, ensuring most people with HIV can live normal lifespans. Prevention tools like PrEP significantly reduce the transmissions. Two, smoking rates, which were at a high as 25.5% among the US adults in 1994 have now fallen to 11.4% due to comprehensive smoke-free policies, public awareness campaigns, and taxation of tobacco products. Childhood mortalities, which was at a rate of 13.8 deaths per 1,000 live births in 1994, has now fallen to 5.4 deaths per 1,000 live births due to vaccines, better healthcare access, and nutrition. Mental health awareness and treatment, with 40% of people with mental health conditions being untreated in 1994, has progressed with increased awareness, parity laws, and integration into primary care, which have expanded access to mental health services and reduced treatment gaps. 5, lead poisoning. With 4.4% of US children having elevated blood levels in 1994, has now fallen to less than 0.5% due to policies banning leaded gasoline and reducing lead in paint, pipes, and water systems. Health impacts of climate change, such as rising heat-related deaths, were under-recognized in 1994, but are now being mitigated by actions such as public health campaigns, local adaptation plans, including cooling centers and other preparedness plans to protect the public from extreme weather, wildfires, and other regional threats, and global frameworks like the Paris Agreement. 7, pandemic preparedness, which was in its infancy in 1994, has now grown, especially after the COVID-19 pandemic, spurring significant advancement in mRNA technology, global vaccine deployment, and increased investigation in infrastructures, stockpiles, and global surveillance, all of which must be sustained. Whereas racial and ethnic minority populations in the United States continue to experience disparities in the burden of illness and death as compared with the entire population of the United States. A person's health status can differ drastically by zip code due to differences in the built environment, environmental quality, community context, access to healthy food, access to education, and access to health care. Public health organizations use National Public Health Week to educate public policymakers, public health professionals, and the public on issues that are important to improving the health of the people in the United States. Public health professionals help communities prevent, prepare for, withstand, and recover from the impact of full range of health threats, ranging from infectious disease outbreaks to national disaster preparedness, and efforts to adequately support public health and the prevention of disease and injury can continue to transform a health system focused on threatening illness into a health system focused on preventing disease and injury and promoting wellness. And then I guess we are asking if you guys are willing to read over this and to sign them, if you would. I gave you the master copy.
You need the master.
Do you?
We got two.
We got, is that okay? Okay. Thank you.
Would anyone like to take action?
I move to approve and accept this proclamation to this public health week or month.
We?
Okay, I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to make the week of April 7th, 2025, proclamation of National Public Health Week. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Find the other one for them.
Next item on the agenda, some miscellaneous items, first of which is discussion of possible action on public health funding and services contract.
I added this on because you discussed it some last week and wanted it on the agenda again this week, so.
I make the same motion as last week that we have two members of the Board of Health and two members of the Board of Supervisors pursue contact with both Gunderson Health and Wynn Medical to provide public health services if possible, and to report back on on whatever action we may find.
Second that.
I thought we already voted on this.
He was going to make.
Oh, we
a
couldn't.
We didn't have any
We didn't
action.
have it on the-
Okay,
No.
I think getting more information is prudent.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll add in discussion, we talked about this at the 6 county meeting. What Kristen had given us for services by county identified the 4 that were using hospitals. Mark Vick had brought up the point of what's the per capita? So and he had done some numbers, so passed these around. These are simply using the populations of all 6 counties, and you can certainly see the difference in the counties. There's real savings for the counties that partner with the local hospitals. Noting that Chickasaw and Winneshiek are the only 2 that don't partner. And when you take their populations of their counties, the range in per capita cost goes from $6.35 to as high as $40.29. And basically, if you look at the services, they're all pretty much the same.
I still think that as we look into this further, we're not gonna see the same services through hospital contracts that we do with our own public health. Funding.
At this point, what we have is what our public health director gave us for information. And in the conversations with the other counties, they were all quite satisfied with their relationship with their hospitals.
We have a motion and a second. Ben, would you like to read that motion?
To have 2 members of the Board of Supervisors and 2 members of the Board of Health to pursue with Wynn Med and Gunderson public health services contract.
Would, just out of curiosity, do you think regional health out of Cresco would want to take that on? Which we
What do you-
with them, as we're our 2 providers here.
Maybe the motion should just state that they can talk to anyone associated.
Any
That could
any
provide
medical-
purpose.
Any medical services, I'll amend that to cover that.
Because it sounded like, you know, in Howard County, they're really happy and they do a lot of the things that we're looking to do, but who knows?
It's probably not bad, you know.
Yeah, Gunderson, when you look at the per capita numbers in front of you, both Gunderson counties are doing better than.
Spread those around.
It's hard to use.
Their
Their population is less than half of ours.
Yeah.
So their numbers run up higher. Deal for Chickasaw, their number is $40 per capita.
Would you second the,
I second.
for the revision of it?
Yeah, I'd second.
To pursue with medical service providers a public health service contract.
That's good.
All those in favor, say aye.
I,
Those opposed,
Aye.
motion carries.
You want to assign which 2 members of this board and then since you have that in place now, and then the Board of Health assigned to.
It's gonna be a little tricky being Mark.
Mark is what, on both? Yeah.
Two other.
We should assign.
Can
Either
I-
Board of Health.
Can I represent
Mark?
one side, but not the other, or not?
But then they would only have, the other would only be able to have one, because you would have two.
I think
As a,
I would suggest Shirley and Steve, since they both have been.
Well, I would say Mark has a lot of background
Well-
in public health.
Then.
but then Board of Health could only be one more.
No, I think it just gets too crossover and we should just have two outside members.
That's fine.
I would say Shirley and Steve would be a good,
Willing to do
Dan is, Dan had contact with him previously.
or if Dan wants to, that's. How about Dan and Shirley?
good time.
You got time, Dan?
Oh, I guess we'll make time.
Okay, that'd be great.
Dan and Shirley will be the Board of Supervisors. And Direct Public Health to name two representatives then. That the plan.
All right, just a question.
Oh.
Is the public invited to that meeting?
No, that wouldn't be a public meeting, no.
The discussion of any agreements would be in a public meeting.
There'd only be two from each, so it doesn't have to be a public meeting.
And the Board of Public Health is the governing board. They're responsible for that, for the Board of Health completely.
Dan or I will be in contact with you and just make arrangements. Thank you.
Next up, under the miscellaneous, group collective bargaining agreements. I will state, I thought process went real well this year. Everything went easy.
Is that a 3-year agreement?
2 year.
It's 2 year.
There's two of them, but I think you can adopt them as one motion.
I move to approve the collective bargaining agreements.
A motion and a second to approve the collective bargaining agreements. Is there any further discussion? None. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous.
That's mood engineering. That's
And the last thing we have under the miscellaneous is discuss salaries and pay matrix.
Added this because you asked to have it added again. Sure, what was what more there was to discuss, but
I say we skip this, remove it from the agenda. We have information to talk about today. We approved the budget at agreed upon salaries and hourly wages, and we're waiting to have the public hearing on that budget.
one thing that I don't know if it'll fall exactly here or not, but I did. There's an issue in the treasurer's office where they made a new hire. And
that hire actually, they offered a hire that will come to the board for approval later.
yes, because it has not, we have not approved it, nor has there been a resolution for that change. Otherwise, without it, it's a violation of state code.
Right, and that will be on the agenda. I can't remember if it's next Monday or the following Monday.
What's the change?
There's no change. There's a new person being hired. Yeah.
That's not a change.
Right.
It's filling a vacancy that we knew about.
Your consent agenda?
Consent agenda, I have the minutes, which you have copies of, and auditor's quarterly report and the recorder's monthly report.
I'd move to approve the consent agenda.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Passes unanimous. Any committee reports?
Getting their stuff down out the community service building, they're putting that, got that shelf in there. We need a secure room for files in the back. They're getting that. Should be done with that here this week, so moving.
Did anyone get I know that John Lukey was working on it, but do they have the square footage? Is that all
Yeah.
worked out? I did some
Yeah.
calculating based on that. Were they okay with the breakdown of, was their percentage plus then
Percentage of
a share of the common area?
25% of the common area.
Okay,
They've been, John, excuse me, Reggie did an excellent job on.
It'd roughly be 28% of the.
yeah, I did a
Right.
calculation of the total and I just want to make sure everyone was okay with that before I filled out that paperwork they sent us.
Is there a Board of Health meeting this Wednesday at 3?
Yep. 3:30, yeah.
3 or 3:30?
3:30.
Got two desks. Put it back.
Yeah, put that together. I looked down there. They didn't have nothing what we needed. I was down in Des Moines, so I went to a couple of them stores. Couldn't find nothing. So we just get by. I priced a new one. A new one and a 15-foot wall was $10,000. Ain't gonna happen.
You could,
Crazy.
there's Welter,
I'm not drawing down.
new
there.
and used office.
I was in Des Moines anyway.
Well, I
so I
mean-
went look, yeah.
Worth checking to see if they had it.
I was telling Mark that this morning. I was just watching that on the Channel 7 News last night. And I think I caught the price tag on that one there. It was like $2,500 for that one half section of the desk.
Yeah.
So what, Mark and I went down last Monday and looked at what we had, the parts in that back room. And there are enough parts there to put them two
Yeah.
desks back together. Just got to take about 3 of them apart and we can get 2 of them. no
I'm gonna-
problem, put back
I'm going
together.
down in the morning to,
So
Somebody lost some parts.
I'm gonna go down in the morning, Chuck, and move them over. Get. Then we'll just be down to having to move a few cubicle walls and file cabinets, I think. I'll talk with John and
There's several things there.
As long as we just have an opening here, Iowa road trip on PBS, 6:30 Wednesday night, and then again 9 o'clock on Saturday morning. The Iowa road trip show is doing the Driftless Scenic Byway, so it includes decor and areas around here. So should be a good show.
The 6 county meeting, I thought the chair of the CSS board sunsetting was just about as, I don't say clueless, didn't have any more answers than I've said. It's just nobody really knows what's going to happen with those agencies and the staffing, so, and the cars and assets. My suggestion would not to bid on a car because I don't know that we're gonna be able to keep them anyway, so.
So it was pretty good.
Didn't hear anybody. I asked a few people and nobody seemed to be interested because we actually don't have very many
No.
cars. And we have the one car and it's actually still left over from when we had mental health locally, so.
The thing would be if the assessor wanted, he was gonna upgrade cars at some point in time, but, you know, it'll be market value, so.
Do you want to tell do like a summary or synopsis of what's happening with CSS and what it means to the state? I mean, we all talk about it, but I don't know if the community knows what we're talking
Well,
about.
it's everything they do, which is behavioral health basically and mental health. Is getting consolidated under
Privatized.
well with human services. So they'll go from
If
down
you
to 8 regions, I think it is. 7 or 8 regions instead of 13 or 12 it used to be.
go back 20 years and each county had their own office. Then about 10 years ago, 12 years ago, or something like that, they changed it and counties had to enter voluntary share agreements to get into regions with other counties. Our first region, when it was, our first CSS region had over 20 counties, but then 5 years ago or whatever, 4 years ago, a bunch of them split off. So then we were down to, what was it, most recently, 12 or something?
I think it's 12 now.
12
to 13.
And so, but those were still county voluntary agreements, what counties wanted to be with which counties and so on. But now HHS is just taking over the whole system and there are no more county options of what regions you're in. They're saying, here's what the regions are and we're managing it.
It looks, they tried to, but it's pretty gerrymandered the way it looks. And Howard now is gonna go to Mason City and we're going south.
Like Waterloo.
And there's like 15 now counties in our thing. Not every county will have an office. And so that's where they're kind of giving a heads up that who's gonna be dealing with the walk-in people, where people can go and ask, where do I get help and assistance for these things? But we're really not gonna know until July 1. I don't think.
I was gonna say,
They haven't given out any indication about how that's gonna be. They're letting go all of the staff and basically are gonna have to rehire some people, I would presume, and which counties are still gonna be able to keep an office is still up in the air. We have an office in the Smith building, but I don't know that it'll still be there when it's all said and done.
When we sold the Smith building, they would only sign a lease with community action through the end of June because they didn't have a clue what the plan was after that. So
It's,
A
So-
summary would be fair to say nobody really has a clue what it's gonna look like, and that's unfortunate for those people who depend on these services.
even Jacob from Chickasaw, who was on the governing board, met with, they have no clue what's really gonna happen.
he's the chair of the board and has no idea.
No idea. So the good news is we are one of the few regions that are keeping most of our employees, I think, are going to stay until the end of the term. They were offered a bonus or a stipend to stay on because a lot of counties, a lot of regions right now, everybody's quit. So till July 1, there's nobody there, which is a problem because they have to close out take all of the late bills that are submitted from the providers, and then they have to go through audits. And so this really is going to drag out until first of the year at least, but there is no mechanism to pay any of the current people to stay on to do those, take the accountability. So pass.
Next item on the agenda, Sean Snyder, Emergency Management Coordinator, with the adoption of the
We can bring that other
2025
chair.
hazard mitigation plan.
Good morning, supervisors. Thank you for your time. I brought someone much smarter with me to help explain some of this stuff, so. I think the purpose of today is to get you guys to consider formally adopting the Winneshiek County hazard mitigation plan. So I want to thank Upper Explorerland and all of you. I think each of you had a piece in doing this, but I'm going to turn it over to Michelle, who can explain much better than I ever could.
Okay, thank you. So Sean engaged me about a year ago to walk the county through their hazard mitigation planning process, the 5-year update. And it helps you maintain eligibility for certain FEMA grants. So we've been meeting with a countywide steering committee comprised of a lot of different agencies and different stakeholder groups. And we also had public meetings in every single city in the county. We had a public review period for the draft plan. And Sean did a survey at the beginning of the process too, which garnered maybe like 80 or 90 responses. So a really heavy part of this planning process is the engagement part of it. So, but I also get kind of heavy into the research, and the plan went out to folks. If they have some time, it is shorter than in pre. We shortened it, we tried to simplify it a little bit, but there's some really good information in there. So if you don't do it today, please, I put a lot of work in it, Sean put a lot of work into it. It's got great information. I just,
There will be a test on it, so make sure you read it and let us know.
Where can the public access that?
I'm gonna maintain Upper Explorer and we'll have it on their website. We do it for all of our countywide hazard mitigation plans, and I'm not sure Sean probably will as well.
Yeah.
So I'm just passing around a couple of things that I won't go over, but take home with you. One is the risks that we discussed with our countywide committee in the cities, and we asked them to do a prioritization of those risks. So that's kind of coming out of this 5-year process, what was most of a biggest concern for the county stakeholders. The second is just the countywide table of the neat mitigation actions the different jurisdictions are going to be working on. It's just a countywide summary, but you can go into chapters of the plan and see what every single city's doing if you want to. There's a probably like 10-page table summary at the end that gets into how these are going to be implemented. So there's a lot of information there. And the risk portion of the plan just delves deeply into severe storms, flooding in our area, and a variety of other issues. So if you ever in your head or at your meetings thinking, do we have more on this? We probably do have more on this. Take a look at it. So I can stand for any questions if you guys did have a chance to look at the draft plan.
I just want to say congrats to the whole team because it's really thorough. It's really good planning for this county.
Muller was Mark.
Some of it's just based on meeting those FEMA requirements, but I think we're going to continue to simplify it as much as we can to make it more digestible.
So
If
this
you go
study-
back like 15 years, each city did their own and the county did their own. So we had 9 hazard mitigation plans for different areas of the county. And so that was a big project even back then when they combined them. The first time you combined them all into one,
Yeah.
at total was a lot shorter than having 9 separate ones. So this,
Yeah,
you
I've
know,
literally
good
had
to-
conversations with Homeland Security and say, what can we cut from these plans to help me make these an easier process, cheaper to, so we're working on it, but
It's interesting. Yours is a deep study. It's the second good study of and survey of the county area, and water quality is right here at the top again. And then human disease is also on here.
Well, I will say I attended the Spillville plan with you, and it was excellent. It was very, very well thought out, very inclusive, and covered a lot of bases. So it was very well done.
The one cool thing on the plan that Michelle did for me is if you go to each city, so like for you, Steve, in Spillville, you go to that section and there's a hyperlink right on that to like your mitigation strategy. So now you don't have to thumb through 200 pages trying to find that section. It's very useful because that's what a lot of the cities are very interested in. And then lastly, with FEMA, as you guys know, this is a FEMA approved plan. There's a lot of unknowns with that. So Michelle has been helping guide me through all that. So it's kind of a, who knows at this point. So we'll keep doing things status quo and hope and pray. So that's the plan. Any questions?
So, sounds good. So, a lot of hard work.
You have a resolution, Ben?
yeah, I have the resolution here so they can get action on it.
Move to adopt the resolution.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution 2025 hazard mitigation plan. Is there any further discussion? If none.
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
Mark?
Aye.
Steve? Aye. I also pass it unanimously.
Thank you, supervisors.
Thank you so much.
You guys. Donna.
Next item on the agenda, Michael Kueny, county engineer.
Good morning. Okay, today. Two sheets
You know, I left two things off and. And- At least we dodged the frost boils in the road, should have.
What's that?
I say at least we've dodged the frost boil. I think
That's what it looks-
roads pretty much.
That's what it looks like. I get
Yeah.
to some of that here in a second.
Did that, yeah. I mean, it was.
This is not all the rest.
I think. This is probably from Ben.
Put this on next week's agenda, but plan.
If that works for you, that just got approved Friday afternoon,
Okay.
so,
Is that the DOT?
it's a DOT approved, budget and 5-year plan, which will be amended. This is the rock tabs, for everyone to look at. All right, get through my list. Since the last meeting, just going through the line items here, the finalist bill grant, there's no new, nothing new on the bill grant. The railroad flat car bridge study, there's nothing new. The substation data, there's nothing new regarding those three items. Maintenance activities being coordinated, contract bids to be received, contract rock bids to be received this week. We have 6,500 tons per blade district will be applied this year, plus some high volume roads are being rocked. High volume roads include Conover Road, Town Line Road, River Road, Meadowlark Road, and A14 in specific sections only. On the 6,500 tons, we received our bids from Brewing's Rock Products. We have a price for hauled rock at 14. Excuse me.
15.379.
23, oh yes, 2024, excuse me, 15,379, yes. Last year was roughly 1498 on average, and that represents a 2.7% increase, which is nice for the hauled rock price. So,
That's new.
again, that's the hauled price, the price for the rock is a little bit different, and that'll be applied to the different projects, such as Nesty Valley, and then we'll negotiate some of these specific roads, coming up, so I'll report on that later.
You want to do the action on the rock now? Are you?
Yes, do we wanna, that was the next thing, yes, do we wanna approve that as a formality here?
Move to accept the rock price.
Second.
A motion to second to approve the contract with rock. Is there any further discussion?
We can make these available to the public too.
Still do that, please. I put some more.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous.
We probably should clarify, Michael, that our available rock suppliers are limited. So the public understands why they're not hearing about multiple vendors.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have take quite an operation to pull sand from Mississippi. I know people say, why don't you keep that for free? I get that question asked a lot. It's a huge coordination item, and then I'm trying to get our guys doing value add stuff, and I can't have them do both at the same time, so it's like just limited human resources, limited physical resources, limited assets, so deal with what we can. Bridge 126, I have sheets for that, for Dan to sign. There it is. And you can sign the top of that. Or not Bridge 126, that's 280, excuse me. I'll get to that in a minute.
Bridge 126, the variance was requested 4 weeks ago. Positive developments for potential variance were discovered. This is a complicated site where the Army Corps of Engineers really would like us to use a bridge, and we're trying to get a box because it's far more economical, safer, a whole bunch of things like that. So you're in the, I think it's now the 5th week of road embargoes. 58 permits were filed, probably 59 as of 10 minutes ago. Length of the embargo is, I'm thinking, going to end this week. Coordinate that with the other counties, or not this week, next week. So I'm looking at. The crew began 410s scheduled today. I've been asked why so early. That's kind of what I was hearing that most of the crew wanted. Most notably the maintenance superintendent had discussed that. We hired 5 seasonal mowers for roadside maintenance activities in 2025. We intend to use the pulverizer to shape the roads up neater and conserve rock.
When do you think that, when will you have the pulverizing?
Couple weeks. I had heard news that it was on the move last week, so I don't know specifics on that. Just kind of.
What color here is that?
It's brand new, yeah.
But it's one of those items where it was already made. You don't have to wait for it. It's just getting it. here,
Yes,
basically.
correct. We're worried about the tariffs, so I think we avoided the tariffs on that one. We haven't. The price was non-tariff based. I haven't been told otherwise. So, yes. The engineer requests the board approval for Brandon Stilley to become maintenance foreman. Brandon will oversee the south 2 districts of the county.
Should anyone want to take
I
action?
move to approve the Brandon Stilley.
Second.
The motion is second to, for the approval of Brandon Stilley to become maintenance foreman. Is there any further discussion? None, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign.
So that'll create another opening then that you have to fill.
Yeah, it's a revolving door.
Yeah.
Um,
So that was his previous position was a collective bargaining position though, so you have to offer it internally and then
yep.
before hiring to the outside.
And then there's just been an open question, and I don't know the answer to this, maybe you know, can I interview, if it goes, presumably it'll end up going to the public at some level, can I interview multiple candidates for we have 3 job openings effectively, and
As long as you advertise them to make sure each job description is advertised in the application process.
they've already been advertised, can we do because they've already been advertised?
What position did you?
So we have one for the scoop, we'll have one for Brandon's
Yeah,
now.
but the description probably says like maintenance operator 1 or maintenance operator 2 or something like that.
We have one operator 2, and then we'll have, I think, 2 operator 1.
So if you advertise them as operator 1, then you're gonna have to do a separate application process for operator 2.
Okay,
You could have, if had you known,
right,
put in the ad for multiple maintenance workers, including operator 1 and operator 2, and kind of had it open that way, because you don't want someone else coming back and say, well, I didn't know you had a position for maintenance operator 2. I would have applied if I had known that. And so that's why you need to make sure you're covering all that. But if you have already had an ad for maintenance operator 1, and you've got applicants and you've got a second position, you could group those together because you've already done that advertising and application process.
so the operator 2 position is where
You're gonna have a stumbling
we'll
block.
have to have at least 2 then interview processes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you could, in the future, especially if you think there's a chance this chap to start the process, advertise for maintenance operators 1 and 2, as needed or something and see how your applicants come, but it's kind of too late now.
Yeah.
Sorry.
A very short interview too, if you've already had the interview.
Yeah, that's true. If it's the same person that if you
Sure.
have to do it again, but
It's gonna be effectively.
you
the same
don't
interview.
technically have to do interviews. You just have to have the advertisement and the minimum time frame and the applications with the right job description.
Okay,
So if you get a group and it's exactly same people and you already know you don't have to do an interview. So, but if you have someone new apply that didn't apply the first time, you
That's
better have justify why you didn't do interviews.
screen them out.
Yeah.
Got it. That's very helpful. I think that,
Speed the process up.
yeah, I need to do whatever I can to speed that process up.
How many foremen do you have?
Right now, there's just one, but the way the pyramid works, it's maintenance superintendent that goes to two, foremen. And
But
then
technically, there's a third foreman in the shop.
and the maintenance superintendent operates as a third foreman. So, yeah, that's in the fifth district, it's Freeport district. So, so we're hiring Brandon for Darren's replacement in the south, 1 and 2.
And it used to be you had a foreman before Michael's time, there was a foreman position in each shop. And to try to not be so top heavy, to went to area of the county foreman and then still had your shop in place, an assistant foreman in the shops.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of discussion, at least within the crew, about how things need to happen there, and I'm.
Still working on some restructure.
Yeah, that's what so it's been brought up, but, right now, I'm trying to push the secondary roads from a more holistic view than just each individual district, so anyhow. This is where this comes in, Dan. I'm requesting a board approval to award Brennan Construction for the bid of Bridge 208E. I have not given formal notification to Jackson Junction yet and would like to do that. I don't know who my contact is there. I'm guessing it's just the mayor.
Yeah.
And that's probably a question for Steve as much
It's me.
May Schmidt.
Schmidt. Okay.
It's a rather small group.
Yeah.
When,
If you have trouble getting a hold of May, I do have an email contact for their city clerk,
Okay.
but May's gonna be the most knowledgeable on that.
Yeah, I think it's just, we already have a 208E or 28E agreement on this. This has already been agreed to, and I think it's just a formality. Hey, we're gonna be here. This is the time. It's just that kind of a conversation. It's just
when's the start date on that? Approximately.
end of May.
Okay.
And Brennan is the successful low bidder.
Brennan is the successful little bidder. Yes. Thank you.
Which one of the $2 amounts is that, the 711 or the 709?
The 711 is what was the original estimate and came in at 709. So we're really close. And then that's the last form. All it is paying the retainage.
Move to accept the contract.
Second.
And it's actually a resolution because it's authorizing Dan or Michael to sign the contract
that's-
document, right? Is that
Oh,
one?
sorry, I messed up. There's,
It's just early start.
I have
I think that resolution is.
the resolution of what you need to sign on this.
Right.
Yep,
Okay.
Because
and that right there is the closeout on Bridge 5.
Oh,
that's something different.
Yeah,
okay.
Right.
sorry about that.
The DOT has new rules that the Board of Supervisors needs to sign electronically, the bridge approvals, and so that resolution gives Michael the authority to sign on behalf of the Board of Supervisors, but that's why we have to have a resolution for every approved project now.
Yeah.
And,
We need a motion to adopt that.
Yeah.
Motion to adopt that resolution to give Michael the power to sign.
Second,
A motion and second on the resolution. Is there further discussion? If none. Art?
Aye.
Shirley?
aye.
Art?
Aye.
Katie?
Aye.
Aye also. Thank you.
There was a short time where the DOT allows a resolution to give the authority up.
Yeah.
And so then the chair would have to go in and to this electronic computer system and figure it out. And sign, electronically sign on these things, so.
That's, you sign that right there, that's that's the project closeout for Bridge 5.
Oh,
We have.
Okay.
That's, I'm apologizing because I was printing all the stuff out at the last minute right before I came in, so trying to organize my thoughts, apologize. Bridge 320 on Pleasant View Road was closed after the Chuck Britson inspection. The design team and the inspector found no feasible repairs to make the bridge operational in its interim.
That replacement would be 2 years from now, probably.
I'd say less than that. It was already on the 5-year plan. So, we're looking at. Yeah, it would be more than a year turnaround. 18 months-ish.
Until you find, unless you find, there's always archaeology or environmental or things like that, or do you have already approvals on?
Just in the area, like the 126, it's further away, but I'm gonna guess that the southwest portion of the county is more concerning that way. The northeast, so far as I can tell, is less concerned that way. The fact that it's a high trust bridge and the archaeological, that's the concern there. Bridge 202 and 249 is the same as last week. We are looking at concrete encasement of the timber piles on both abutments, on Bridge 202 and then on Bridge 249 on one of the abutments. Bridge 67, we're looking at putting in new girders for the superstructure. It's just effectively it's just rusty at one end of the bridge. So if we can just take the deck off and put new steel, that's what we're looking to do.
We'll do that ourselves.
Looking to do that ourselves, yes. So.
Does that use up some of the existing steel we have sitting out in the yard out there?
If we
Possibly.
can, the spans, this has all kind of been determined Thursday and Friday of last week. We had not done the inventory on what we have. The other thing that we have to worry about is when we can get this done. Nessie Valley is looking at 5 weeks of our guys being out there, our best construction guys. So that's a chunk of time. So I'm trying to coordinate all of that right now. So whenever I say on this maintenance activities for 2025, it's been a lot of my time the last 2 months on that. So yeah, to answer your question, we're trying to do that ourselves. It's a matter of when. You got 202 and 249, those are pretty big encasement projects. So right next to enough water to be a problem. So yeah. So the DOT passed the budget and associated 2026 certified 5-year plan on Friday afternoon. The bridge crew opening has been posted to the public. The position is for equipment operator 1. This will be an important position to fill this summer. Applications are due today. Equipment operator 2, to Ben's point earlier, is open to the public for the rubber tired excavator machine. It's also known as the scoop.
How many applications do you have for the bridge crew so far?
I don't know the answer to
Oh,
that
okay.
because and I just haven't had a chance to pull that together. We have an all department FEMA app training and safety meeting which will be held 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Well, should be held at 7 a.m. for the FEMA app training, and then at 8 a.m. to noon for the safety meeting at the maintenance shop on Wednesday, April 9th. 2 board members are welcome to attend as per usual.
What day is that, Michael?
That is Wednesday the 9th. It's this week.
I'll be out of town, so I can't.
Planning on going.
It's good training.
It's-
I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
So we all gonna show up?
It's well.
Linda
worth it.
puts on she usually has good,
Yeah, it's usually.
everything I've seen so far has been excellent, so. If you don't have anything to do, there's donuts and coffee and then sometimes Linda's kind of entertaining herself. The SSA 4A grant meeting,
Or 8 o'clock is the accuracy.
yeah, the 7 a.m. we just added on, so the way that's written, it's kind of clunky.
Is that something like the recycling crew could go to or no?
Sometimes the recycling crew does go to that. To the degree of their need, I don't know what they need, so I'm guessing that, Jeff is listening to this, he'll probably try to add on if he can,
Okay,
so
thank
I'll
you.
send that over to him. This is 4A grant meeting was held on Monday, March 24th. Basically, I'm still awaiting their final documentation on that. And I'll pass that along as soon as I get it. The Jeff Peel situation is being administered. I had someone come in just this morning on that one. That's the Valley coordination, further coordination. Barb is requesting a cost estimate be turned into her by tomorrow. I will be talking to her about that. We're looking at with contingency, roughly $327,000. Based off of how we think it will occur, the secondary road fund is looking at about $100,000 to be brought into the secondary road fund. We'll have to rent a bigger dozer, things like that, because all we're doing is getting the labor off of that at that point, not reimbursing us for the labor, our equipment hours. So got that coordinated this week. It's a little bit higher than I originally anticipated, just because of those rentals. Striping bids for road striping went out on Tuesday. And FEMA is the same as last week. And 2 other things that happened that are not on here. I met with Denko for the auxiliary, called auxiliary pavement services on our pavements. I'm authorized to spend up to $100,000, $110,000 without getting quotes on things, and Denko has been key in trying to help us figure out which roads they can help keep up, and we can't do everything ourselves throughout the year, so they augment our efforts on the pavements, and that's been a long-standing relationship. So I had a meeting with them on Thursday, and then no, that was on Tuesday, and then on Thursday was all 6 county meeting in which we had the immigration services discussion, and what was the other one?
Citing of when solar
Yes, the power.
legal issues.
Yes, so that was a fantastic meeting. The concerns that I had regarding speed limits and the speed of this new bill that's going through, I can't remember which the House file it is. The engineers, the other fellow engineers were not concerned about it going to 60 miles per hour, so. I'm kind of gonna put that on the back of my concerns at this point. So
It'll be mostly for county's concern, it's just, sign.
it's a sign issue. I'm concerned generally about, roads like Pole Line Road, W14. Those roads that are windy and everything else. But we do have we have the suggested speed signs out there already. And other engineers feel that is sufficient.
Is the state gonna pay for signage?
Well, that's why I was talking about it. It's like, so if,
Flemish.
There's another unfunded.
it's,
It may not be. Flemish was asking us, and Michael, in his office responded to them about the cost of what it was cost Winneshiek County to change the 55 to 60 signs, 50-mile-an-hour signs.
Mhm.
And so he was trying to keep it from being an unfunded mandate. I don't
Well,
know the final outcome.
so the issue that you have, there's a couple issues on that, and it's you have the gravels are 55 daytime speed limits if they're unposted and 50 miles per hour nighttime speed limits. So there's 60 miles per hour. Does it become 60, 55? We don't know. Do we really want, I mean, which gravel roads are we posting anyways?
We
Then
probably don't have very many posted gravel roads.
yeah, well, I mean, like, Middle Hesper, and we have Whitetail, and we have all those.
Oh, but the small, those are lower posted. But do we
Those
have
are
any-
much lower
Do we
postings.
have any 55 posted gravel
We
roads?
don't.
If you're going 60 on the gravel, you're in trouble.
Yeah, that's one issue. And then the second issue, again, it's these radius and everything else. The thought was that they were gonna be 55 miles an hour. I have not seen any direction on if I need to spend my time or my resources on determining if that's an appropriate speed limit. So I've been asking that
So, like-
question, and that
Like on a curve that's not posted now, if going 60 around that curve should have a suggested speed limit that's lower or something. is
I
what you're
mean,
saying.
right, and we have been putting the increased shoulder width around the curves on the inside radius mostly. We've been doing the safety edge on the outside radius, so and we've been shouldering all of our paved roads, but I still don't know that answer. So, and all the other engineers at the conference were much less concerned than I was. So,
Because if some of these places are in question, you have to do a speed.
well,
study.
that's a lot of effort. That's what my point is.
And that comes
so-
at a cost also.
Yes, that was my concern. So,
Interesting.
yeah. So it was a fun week.
Don't have anything else for Mike? Thank you.
Thanks.
Next up on the agenda, Andy Vandermark, attorney. Morning, Andy. Good morning. What do you have for us this morning?
Have some discussion about some pending litigation, and I don't really have anything else for you, I don't believe.
Does that mean anything other than that? Go into a closed session?
I think we should.
Take a few minutes to get things organized here, but yeah. No, we'll keep this open.
Is the motion from the previous closed session available to the public yet?
Now, it's in the approved minutes today.
Minutes have the statement from the last meeting.
But we're gonna go into a closed session next to talk about pending litigation, so it's gonna take us a couple minutes to Give it a minute, give all people just clear out and I'll hang some signs and lock the doors. Fatima, you'll have to turn the recording off for this portion.
Thank you for attending, everybody online.
Just when I drove by this morning, the meter is still in the box. So
Okay.
if the meter's there,
You want to tell, ask Tony, you want me to send him an email or?
Yeah, why don't you send them specific, somebody needs to specifically tell them which one it is, so we can make sure that that's been addressed, or if it hasn't, then we need to make sure it does get addressed. I don't know which, I didn't. Which one were you talking about? The one in Austin at the,
right outside Ocean.
and that was a separate meter from like the road shop and such.
Yeah, this one's right out along the highway.
Okay.
Before I charge my car.
Is that how it was, right?
You could. And then the other little thing, during the pending reports, I had to go to Wellington and they have some, in the one side, the driveway has a couple potholes. And I believe that's on us, on that driveway part, it's not the parking lot or any of that. So we'll get that taken care of. And then they have a big dip, where there used to be a cistern or something in there. That's filled in or sinking in.
In the lawn.
Yeah. It's pretty, so it might need a load or two of back there.
We budget 5,000 a year for just general maintenance.
So that's something that the road crew can do and then build back. Correct?
They'll want to make sure that bill comes to us. and
Yes.
not To the road.
Not to Wellington either.
Or not to the road department, because we can't reimburse the road department, so that we need to get the bill when they order the dirt or whatever, to have it come directly to me, so that we can
Okay.
get it billed through the right department.
That's gravel driveway. Potholes.
No,
They're blacktop.
that's black.
Okay.
There's just a couple potholes, so it takes some cold mix in a couple spots. It's not all that bad, but kind of.
If it's not enough to worry about on that, if they can just go over
Yeah.
from the road and patch that up,
Then
then
I can talk to Mike about that. So.
So Tony, I emailed Tony on the Ocean meter.
okay, we'll check that. I know he had already worked on at least one, if not more than one of those sites we weren't using anymore, so.
I just know they usually pull the meter out of it, but they could have shut it off. So I don't know for sure.
Well, sometimes they can just pull them sleeve and stick them back on there. So.
So we have a motion for adjournment. Second. And a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting.
I'll be gone the next 2 days at an election training, so.
Oh, but.
But I'll have my phone on in the evenings.
I'll be gone the next 2 days to go see Bob Hill.
Yeah.
May not, by the time you get there.
You better be there tomorrow night.
These are expensive, I'm sure. Ooh, scalper. Hey, Mark.
Well,
Paul, are you gonna take, just kind of check on recycling?
Am I gonna go out there now?
Yeah.
Oh, I was out there Friday
Thursday.
or Thursday, we stopped.
See how things are going.
I don't know if Jeff will be there today. Because of his back. He,
More difficulty. More difficulty from.
Yeah.
So, you wanna go check to see how things are going and talk, especially talk with Anna. Make sure that-
I'll let,
Down here, they said put some frozen pizza. Mother's instinct took them off the gunner side.
you would have a, well, let's wait for that in a second.
He may be there, I doubt this, he went to, what do you got?
She needs to do this. Some lady that doesn't do it.
He was adding.
How many board members are there?
There's still 4 people here, so you gotta keep it on.
Dan, you want to take us a second, compare our schedules to see what our next few days look like? So I can give Krista some ideas on timing.
And then.
I'm probably gonna have to,
Or I can call you.
Yeah.
Yep.
see where I'm
Not
at.
a problem. I'm gone the next two, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Okay.
So on all the Thursday to Rockford. Friday to. So this week is out.
This week's out. Well, okay.
We'll look at next.
Then we should probably get some dates
We're
from
replacing.
from
her board members.
She can ask them on Wednesday.
Tim's position.
So dates.
I will email her that, and I'll include you on that email. So we're all on.
All right.
Thanks, Dan.
Remove that position. You have to approve the hire. If you don't have the authority to restructure job.
Encourage Jen.
Because right now, the office structure is
Side of Decorah. Not here.
elected official
They missed.
by
No, I.
employees, so you have to. Annually, you can look at the structure of the
I would
office.
not be going down. I had good luck with mine.
Rochester is where I go.
Deputies, assistants, and clerk for each office shall be determined by the board.
Yeah.
And the number and approval of each.
So the number is already approved. He isn't adding a new person.
Right.
So you, at this point, he is approved for that person. That's what the number is for that office.
Position.
Yes. And the position, it gets to come to you to approve. Have the approval. If you don't, there's a court case where that was tried, and I don't think the board has the authority to. Yeah, well, I can send you the court document. That was already has been an issue. There is really little authority to say no for a specific person. If it's completely different, if you wanted to add an additional person.
We got enough legal things going on.
We're coming to them.
Yeah, I was out Wednesday and Thursday.
Yeah, did you talk to them?
Yes.
Better get out here.
Bye.
Bye. No.
Okay, Fatima, there's only one left.
We can turn off the meeting now. Thank you.